episode of the animated series. You know the lore, obviously, well. What did you think of the film, and specifically how they treated Chekhov? It kind of changed the character a little bit. It turned him a bit more to a kind of wonderkind who could calculate things, amazingly fast with his magic pen and all that stuff. What did you think of that approach for Chekhov and the film in general?
I think that's great. Nothing is sacrosanct as far as I'm concerned. Well, maybe there are some things. Spock has to have his pointed ears, God knows. But I mean, it's a different time. I mean, the picture is made differently. I mean, it's like this. If our picture was their pictures, it's just moving all the time. It's a different era in filmmaking. It's a different perception of how to make movies, and a very exciting one. When I will look at our films after, moments in our films after I've watched that film, I realized that we were a much more kind of a labored kind of delivery. On the other hand, there was some dimension to character, I think, that we possessed that was a little light, I thought, in this film. I don't think it had quite the dramatic substance that our best pictures had. That would be 2 and 4, certainly. But I can see I've totally lost track of what the question was.
What did you think of the movie?
I really liked it. I loved the performances. I think they did a terrific job. I went in a little leery. I thought, now, how am I going to react to this? How am I going to react to seeing somebody else play this role when there has been no one else to play this role? But then, I looked at this as a 19, 20-year-old kid. I was 72 then. Now I'm 64, but I was 72. So there's no competition here, and so I was able to sit back and totally enjoy what he was doing, and totally enjoy the film. I did not have that what's the word? Proprietary. I didn't have that proprietary sense when watching the film that this was ours, and they've sullied it, or they watered it down, or they've done something to it. I just was able to sit back and thoroughly enjoy it, which was great. I was very pleased with that.
I imagine people want to get going with the movie, so just what? No. Okay, I got a weird question. Someone sent in via Twitter to ask you. You were brought on in the second season, and partially to take over from George, who was shooting Green Berets or something like that. But they kept you on, but they also were shooting for the younger demographic, and they gave you the at first what was a wig, as I understand. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so someone wanted to emulate the look of Davy Jones from the Monkees, which was very popular. So someone wanted to ask you, did you ever meet Davy Jones and talk to him about that?
I finally did. I finally met him sometime last year at an autograph event in Burbank. I wasn't even there to sign autographs. I just came by to see people that I hadn't seen in many years. And there he was. Very pleasant, very charming fellow. Still has a full head of hair. But he's shorter than I am. Yeah, so we talked for about 10 minutes. He knew, why I had been brought on the show, and I think that he was a bit flattered by that. And we got along quite well.
Speaking of getting along, is it true that things were a little tense between you and George early on, having to share scripts in a dressing room, and how long did it take for that to thaw out, or did it ever thaw out?
Well, as far as I was concerned, there was never a problem. I wasn't aware that George was seething underneath, and that he was feeling, that he'd been, that his position had been taken over. He never presented that to me. I never saw any kind of moody or tantrum behavior. I saw, a fellow professional, and so you know, if indeed he felt that way, better actor than I even thought he was. Because I just was not aware of it. We got, as far as I was concerned, we got along fine. There was never a problem. I can't think of a time that we ever had an argument. I do remember beating him in a race in our full uniforms on the Paramount lot. So maybe that's colored my whole impression of him. But no, I don't. Aside from that, I never felt competitive with